Welcome into PFF HQ. I'm Austin Gayle here with Sam Monson, ready to talk some old guys. We're talking veterans at 35 years old or older entering the 2019 season that we believe are the top 10 guys. The article's on the website. We're going to be talking about the top 4. Important thing to know about this list is that we did remove quarterbacks, kickers, punters, and long snappers from this list. We didn't want them dominating this full list of top 10, but the guys we are looking at are very good. And the guy we're starting with is Cameron Wake, new Tennessee Titans edge defender.
Yeah, it's actually amazing how many quarterbacks over 35 are still playing at the top of the game. So we stripped all those out from this list. We're looking at every other position, the top guys over 35, and there's some real quality on this list still. It's amazing for a young man's game how many of these old-timers are still out there kicking ass. And Cameron Wake has been that guy really since the beginning. Undrafted, had to ply his trade in the CFL up in Canada before teams finally took notice, brought him in. And even when he first got in the NFL, he was barely getting snaps, replacing Joey Porter for the Dolphins way back in the day. But he has always consistently generated pressure at PFF, had incredible pass rushing grades throughout his career. And even in the past couple of years when he's been getting up in years, he's still been generating a ton of pressure. 62 total pressures in 2017, 54 last year. He is still able to bring the heat and should do so again for the Titans this year.
Absolutely. To see what he's been able to do at his age is incredible. Specifically last year, he had a very good year from a pass rushing perspective. And for as long as you can attack the quarterback like he can, he should be playing in the NFL. I don't care if he's 38, 39 years old. It's going to be interesting to see him in a Tennessee Titans uniform, I think. I always remember him as this Miami Dolphins. That's where he's played for his whole career. But I think him, Harold Landry, that pass rush gets better in Tennessee with Cameron Wake added.
Definitely.
Moving forward, another edge defender I want to talk about who had a career year last year. He had a career best grade, Lorenzo Alexander for the Buffalo Bills. A bit of a moving piece. He plays a lot of edge defender, but also some off-ball linebacker. Had a very good year last year for Buffalo.
Yeah, so many of these guys on this list have amazing kind of career arcs and storylines behind them. Cameron Wake, we had the intro going into the CFL, was his way into the league. Lorenzo Alexander has played basically everywhere in the front seven during his NFL career. He started off as a defensive tackle, progressed all the way to off-the-ball linebacker, and now, as you said, he's become something of a linebacker, edge rusher hybrid. But again, like Cameron Wake, he's still able to bring pressure. And in his advanced age, he's playing arguably the best football of his career and is still generating a ton of pressure, generating a ton of impact plays for his team.
To see a journeyman like himself who's been cut multiple times, he's played for the Redskins for a little bit, Oakland Raiders, and now finding his way with Buffalo in that chess piece position on that defense is incredible. Staying in Buffalo, a running back that also had a very good year last year on limited snaps, Frank Gore, an ageless wonder by all means. I think what he's been able to do throughout his entire career is absurd. He's played, I think, over 300 offensive snaps every year of his career at a position that gets hurt more than any. Frank Gore, going into the season, is one of those top players over 35.
And what's most amazing about that is that the knock on him coming out of the University of Miami was durability. It was that he'd wrecked his knee a couple of times, and nobody knew if this guy, who was extremely talented, would be able to hold up over, an NFL, like a first contract, let alone a career. And yet that's exactly what he's done, is he just doesn't get hurt. He keeps plowing on. Everywhere he goes, he ends up being the sort of bell cow running back, at least on early downs, keeping guys like Kenyon Drake on the bench in Miami. And I think the same thing is going to be true in Buffalo. We're going to see him carve out a role in that offense and still keep plugging away, still keep getting production, and kind of climbing his way ever further up those all-time lists in terms of total production. Durability has been incredible for him over his career.
Two things I want to bring up with Gore is, one, he took running back consistency to a whole nother level. When you talk consistency at the running back position, you think 4 years, 5 years of dominant play. To see what he's done over a 10-plus year span is incredible. Two, it is wild that you knew his knocks coming out of college. I think in 2004, 2005, I was like 8 years old. That's crazy to hear you bring that up.
Well, this is a list of old guys, and we've got an old guy in who remembers these things. The other thing that's amazing about Frank Gore is that it's not just collecting these accumulated stats of being there for long enough, right? He's still playing at a really high level. Last season, he graded at 81.4 for a running back. That's a really high PFF grade. He's playing again, arguably the best football of his career, despite being at this advanced age.
I'm excited to see him in Buffalo for sure. And moving forward, last guy that we're going to bring up, Andrew Whitworth, guy that was a longtime Cincinnati Bengal, played very well for them, and they ended up cutting ties with him. He goes to Los Angeles and still is playing at an elite level.
Yeah, and he was a huge part of that whole team's turnaround when he came on board, when John Sullivan came on board at center, when obviously Sean McVay replaced Jeff Fisher at head coach, the entire Rams turned itself around almost in an instant. And Whitworth was a huge part of that. They were able to go from one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, certainly one of the worst left tackle situations in the game, to one of the best. And Whitworth has been this perennially underrated player throughout his entire career, goes to the Rams, hits the ground running, has a bit of a down period there and then bounces back and is still playing like one of the top 5 left tackles in all football.
Yeah, for sure. And you look at Whitworth specifically in pass protection, one of the better left tackles in the NFL for pretty much his entire career. And to see that he's still doing it as old as he is incredible. And it has allowed Los Angeles to play a very good right tackle in Rob Havenstein. I think his run blocking has helped the Rams a ton, helped Gurley a ton, C.J. Anderson, whoever it may be. I think having Havenstein and Whitworth there is incredible, especially given the contract they have at him and how old he is. It's fantastic.
And again, going back to college backstories, this is a guy drafted as a guard because they looked at him and thought, there's no way this guy can play left tackle. He doesn't have the footwork, he doesn't have the agility, he doesn't have the athleticism that this new breed of left tackle has. The Bengals drafted him as a guard, actually played him as a guard in his rookie season because they had that bookend of great left and right tackles back in the day. Then he ends up moving out and turns out he's absolutely fine at left tackle. So, almost the entirety of this list is showing you guys that didn't necessarily have the most obvious career path into the NFL, had questions about them coming out, but for whatever reason, they've been able to overcome all those challenges, and they're still doing it deep into their 30s.
People wanted to play Andrew Whitworth at guard. The things you learn talking about old people with old people. This has been Sam Monson and Austin Gayle.